they're going to tell you it's a beautiful county, it's so perfect, and they can thrive and grow. But gentrification is at a crazy speed and rate in Arlington. My name is Loren DePina, and right now I am currently an activist in Alexandria City, and I also am an advocate, and I advocate predominantly or solely for marginalized communities. If you drive around South Arlington now, the closer you are to Columbia Pike is very diverse. You find different businesses from almost every background.
Columbia Pike is in Arlington, Virginia. It is in South Arlington, which it is a high density area, and there's buses and there's cars, and it's very busy, and it's really very rich. It's not a quiet suburb of Washington, D.C. My name is Sushmita Mazumdar, and I'm an artist and the founder of Studio Pause, a community space for art and stories. I was switching over from being an artist who works in her basement to teaching art, and I had a solo show in 2012 at Glen Echo Park, and that's when a lot of people said they wanted to do this work with me. The studio is actually a space where the community, the everyday person as we call them, can interact with an artist and then artist's work. And as they ask us questions and try to understand our work, we learn about our community and our work changes. So here we have exhibits, invite artists to create artworks and community art projects. But in a community art space, you come the way you are, and I really like how people stumble upon Studio Pause. And I'll see them looking in or reading our vinyls or looking at the display in our window. And that's when I run outside and said, hey, do you want to come inside and check us out? And people are like, what is this place? So I get to tell them, this is a community space. You are most welcome here. Columbia Pike is actually very diverse and made up of all these different kinds of people who live side by side, who support each other, the businesses, the restaurants, the patrons. And so it's a very nicely mixed community. There are quite a few old businesses on Columbia Pike. They've been documented. I've visited them.
The Draft House has been in the community for 85 plus years now. It is a historical building, but it's really something that the community has built and supported throughout the years. My name is Tim Clark, and I'm one of the owners of the Arlington Draft House on Columbia Pike. We often refer to it as Arlington's living room. We try to provide a comfortable and affordable solution to entertainment, somewhere where people can come and kind of remove themselves from the chaos of what's going on outside and enjoy an event, grab a drink, get a bite, being able to offer what we can as far as content, whether it is a local documentary or a school play or something along those lines. I think it's what continues to tie the community together and keep the Draft House going. The Pike is, I think, just under 5 miles long. And I think that if you drove from start to finish, you could probably find some portion of culture from across the world. And so, I think you kind of have to look deep into some places and think outside of the box. But Columbia Pike is a great place to explore new cultures and ideas.
Also the transportation, you can just go to the bus stop and easily get places.
Yeah, the food and transportation. And also seeing these, yeah.
My name is Ali and I live on Columbia Pike.
My name is Adana and I also live on Columbia Pike.
My name is Mila and I also live on Columbia Pike.
Actually, how we all met, I was walking to school one day and I just ran into Zidane, and then we just became besties. And then one meeting after school, I just talked to Neil and we were like, oh wait, we live on the same apartment, so we just became friends too. And then I introduced those two together, and then yeah, became a trio.
We have a bunch of bus routes right in front of our building, or anywhere you go on the Pike even.
Yeah.
Having an electric car helps so much. It helps these parents possibly get their kids to doctor's appointments. It helps them get their kids to other resources that are not brought into their communities, like the library, programming after school, activities and events on the weekend.
I feel like there's still a lot of local stores and local restaurants compared to like other cities close to us.
I mean, in 20 years, there have been a lot of businesses that have not made it. So pricing increases, cost of goods sold, cost of labor, just those. And we're kind of doing our best not to pass that along to customers. But at the same time, it seems to be a factor that, has affected our business.
Gentrification is when a neighborhood is redeveloped so that old buildings and businesses are changed to cater to a higher socioeconomic level of residents or businesses and business owners. And oftentimes that pushes the original people of the neighborhood out because they can't afford to live there anymore. I think one of the biggest worries is that as this change is coming down the pike, who has been asked about what they want or what they need, and who's making the decisions. The new places going up are unaffordable for people who live on the pike. And there's another guy I interviewed, and he said it suddenly struck him that when I come back from college and come back to the pike where I grew up, will I be able to live there? Will I be able to afford it? A person who grew up on the pike 20 years ago and saying that, we were very poor, we had just come from another country, and we were in this place and there was roaches, we could hear mice. And so, nobody should have to live that way. So on one hand, you shouldn't have those old buildings which has no upkeep. And the other hand, you shouldn't have buildings that chase away the people who already live here.
Building multifamily homes in cities on bus lines is how you bring affordable housing. Creating duplexes, triplexes, where a family can buy a small unit for their people and build wealth. You have Latinos that have been here almost 40 years paying taxes and still can't buy a house. And you want me to believe that Arlington is here to help them? No, absolutely not. If you do not know, the number one vessel to generational wealth is home ownership. So when you keep a certain population away from that, they're forced to rent apartments on Columbia Pike and congest on Columbia Pike. And then to turn around and say, oh, we're diverse. We have 185 languages in the county. But what are you doing for 185 languages? How are you making sure these people understand that this is their space? It's been for decades. And we want to work with them to help them keep their space, but keep it growing within diversity, not gentrification.
I would say like my teenage years, well, obviously the memories, like the Columbia Pike is going to be in the background just because we walk to school on it every day.
I grew up in Bombay in India. It's a very big city with a lot of people and a lot of different kinds of people. And in Arlington, Columbia Pike comes the closest to that experience where people with different experiences and different backgrounds walk side by side, chat with each other, sit next to each other in restaurants. So it's a very vibrant experience.
For me, it's more of a home because I've lived on many different apartment buildings on the Pike, and I've also went to the restaurants for most of my time that I've been here.
One of my absolute favorite places on the Pike, which is it's right around the corner, but it's Abby's. It's a Salvadorian food establishment, and it's the best food that you can get, I think, on the Pike.
International grocery stores are very popular because you get all kinds of food there. So oftentimes our lunch, we will go across the street to the Ethiopian grocery and get some lentil samosas, and then we go to the Latino grocery and get avocados that are ready to be eaten right there.
I would say Lost Style Cafe is the best place to eat.
Sophia's pupusas. Her pupusas are so good. There's a few places on the Pike I go. Bob and Edith's, that's a staple. That's been there 40 years or something.
I haven't lived here long enough, but I've been like Bob and Edith, and I thought that was pretty good.
So, if you have been on the Pike, these precious places and kind of, those become your staple. There was another person who said, all the restaurants that once the building is changed, the restaurants change. And she went into one of the restaurants and she sat there and she came out and said, I don't belong here. This is not my Columbia Pike anymore. So it is a very warm sense of community here, and everybody's on tenterhooks that as the changes come down the pike, they're going to lose that. It's going to go away. And the question is, the people who are bringing the change, do they know this community? Do they have this experience that we have living here and working here on Columbia Pike?
Right now, unfortunately, there's a lot of closed businesses on the Pike due to the progress, the construction, the change of the area. But I think that from the county it's just providing support for the businesses on Columbia Pike, allowing them to thrive, getting the word out to customers or people that may not understand what the Pike is. And then also really providing a safe place where people feel comfortable to come and park and walk and explore the businesses on the Pike.
People need to hear that in this type of change, when you're doing justice work, when you are trying to dismantle a system, you have to make people uncomfortable. Change comes from discomfort. I don't care how you slice it or dice it. If everything's good for you, why would you get up and move?
It would be so cool if Arlington County could designate this Columbia Pike. It is a historic corridor. If they could designate it a historic corridor, and you can have these stories told along the Pike. We have all these restaurants, all this history right here on the Pike.
Statistics help, research help. It's things like that. And then doing the legwork to bring everyone together.
If you don't live here, you don't know what it is. And we can't tell you, you have to experience it.